Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist. Welcome to Rat Pack Fantasy Football. Not going to lie, we're 3 weeks into this show, and I think that's the first time I almost screwed up the intro. I was doing some prep work for my show, and I looked up and said, fuck, what show am I on? Oh, okay, Rat Pack. Yeah, we're here. So we're here tonight with the NFL Week 3 recap. It is about 10 minutes before kickoff for Sunday Night Football, which isn't coming up on my Game Pass for some freaking reason. So that will be one less distraction for me. Although it's Steelers-Raiders, so some would say it's not all that distracting. Got Jesse and Tim joining me. Tim, how's life? Have you slept since last show?
I've got like an average of 3 hours of sleep a night, so that's kind of how it's going for me. But I'm living good. Baby's healthy, mom's healthy, and life is great.
Yeah, 3 hours of sleep. That's tough. That'll
do it.
How's it going, Jesse?
It's going.
How in fantasy today?
I'm choking on water right now, but the squad's doing really good. We're doing great. I took a deuce earlier, just like we were talking about before, and now the water's getting me, so it's just been a day. It's been good. Like a lot of good players doing well.
You weren't on the show earlier, Tim. You weren't on the show earlier. You heard him right.
What?
He did say he took a deuce. I seen Tim go. Did he say he took a deuce? Yes,
I'm trying to gloss over and let it go.
We ended the sit-start show with, we had a couple of minutes and no questions left. And so I said, hey, everyone promote themselves. And we ended with Jesse, and he said, well, we got to go because I got to take a shit. So that's how we ended the start-sit show. So
I was going to bring it up post-podcast, but, that's great. I'm happy for you.
Jesse, I kind of figured he would bring it up post-podcast, but nope. That's how we wrapped it up. So
shame over here. No shame. Yeah.
I guess we'll start with some injuries here. Derek Carr looks to be, ribs, I think we said? So he was ruled out. This has the makings of probably being a multi-week absence here. So I guess, does anybody, if you're in Superflex, Jameis Winston is probably an ad, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh man, I'm so excited for the Saints offense with Jameis back there. They said it's probably.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
No, I'm legit excited. Michael Thomas is finally healthy. I'm not a fan of Michael Thomas in fantasy, but if the Saints are going to be throwing the ball, almost 40 times a game with Jameis, because I don't see how you don't. Jamal Williams is on IR. Kendre Miller didn't look too great today.
No, he didn't. I held that for 3 games waiting, but sorry, I'll interrupt you here before you get back to it. Ian Rappaport has 2 updates here. Derek Carr is believed to have suffered an AC sprain. After multitude of tests, there was no additional damage. When he plays, will be determined by the swelling, blah, blah, blah. Derek Carr seems to have avoided a more serious injury than expected. He could still miss some time, but it doesn't appear to be season-ending. So it sounds like we could probably get 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 6 weeks out of Winston here. Was it Drew Brees? Did Drew Brees have an AC or was that ribs? Either way, I'm thinking this feels like a month to me. I don't know about you.
We got a while.
Sorry, Tim, go back to it. You were in the middle of it, and I just seen the update. And I interrupted you. My bad.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. A month, I have to assume they're going to tweak this offense to be a little bit more pass-heavy. They haven't been able to put up points or get the job done on the ground all season long. But it seems like they're committed to it, so I'm interested to see how it turns out. But they really should try to utilize Jameis's talents and throw the ball more. And hopefully that will, give a little boost for Rashid Shaheed, Michael Thomas, and Chris Olave.
Yeah, I like it. I know there's going to be turnovers, but the Saints offense is going to score more. So it's next week we get Kamara back, right? Yeah, week 4.
I think it's after week 4.
This offense is going to be a lot more high scoring next week, I think. So I don't mind it. I think if you're in a super flex league, he's a must add. He's got to be the top QB waiver wire ad this week by a mile. I don't think there is anyone.
I'm assuming so. Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Who's the backup in Chicago? Is it Nathan Peterman still?
You don't want Peterman. Don't even.
We're not doing this again.
That was proven by point though. But so Fields, I don't know what they said. This happened late in the game, so I don't know if he ever came out of the blue tent, but I'm watching the highlight here of him wobbling and DJ Moore trying to carry him off the field. So this is definitely a concussion. So
yeah, he came back and played. Like the guy tried to punch the ball out and just elbowed him straight to the face.
He came back and played after he went to the sideline on this one.
Yeah, he came back and threw a touchdown to DJ Moore late.
Did he really? So he must have.
Weird.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you know that. So he must have cleared concussion protocol. So what we're going to see here is, does he develop, late symptoms? Because if he has, later symptoms, that means he's most likely going to miss next week. But if he came back, I guess that would lean towards. It kind of indicts the NFL, though. Hey, they let him come back in the game, and then he, they're just going to say, late symptoms. But that's fucked up, man. We did this with Tua.
Why, like, if you're Chicago, why don't you just pull him? You're getting blown out in that game. There's no reason for him to come back in. You're down by like 40 points. Just don't bring it's just idiotic decision.
Do you think he goes back in though of his own free will because he knows if they bench him, they're gonna get the first pick and get Caleb Williams and his ass is out the door?
Yeah, I mean that's what
He needs every chance available to prove himself. Because like as of right now, if the season ended today, how do you continue on with Justin Fields?
You can't.
Yeah.
Like
during the offseason,
Caleb Williams right there.
Midway through the offseason, in my main dynasty league, I have Richardson, and I offered Richardson and a second for Justin Fields, and the guy laughed at me. You could not pay me to go straight up Richardson for Fields right now.
No shot.
No way.
No.
This offseason, I've had an offer out for Kyler the entire offseason for Fields, to the guy who's rebuilding. I was like, take the points. I'll take the points you give. And then I pulled it after week 1. I was just like, no, I'm not taking Fields. Like, what was it? Like that.
He's been what, QB 5, 6, 7 all offseason? I think he's
like 5 to 8 range. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like 2 is ahead of him. Lawrence is probably ahead of him. He hasn't looked great. I mean, you're not going to take Cousins because Cousins is old, but Cousins in.
I took Cousins.
In Dynasty?
Yeah, I just made a trade like earlier this week because I
when you a contender though.
No, I'm rebuilding, so I'm just gonna flip Kirk Cousins. Like I flipped him for a 1 and a 2, but so I did Mostert, Fields, Dotson, and Achane for Kirk Cousins, Calvin Ridley, and Chig. And I don't really mind taking on the points because I don't plan on keeping these players on my roster. Like immediately, same day, I flipped Kirk Cousins for a 1 and a 2. Jeez. And I'm still working on getting rid of Calvin Ridley. But, I mean, it was kind of a loss considering I just shopped both Miami running backs to the same team. Mm-hmm. But I don't expect them to get 50 points a game, though.
No. So we have the other injury.
Out here looking like Bo Jackson and Tecmo Bowl.
We had Mike Williams go out with a knee injury that has ACL written all over it. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking he's done for significant time here. The interesting part you guys brought up was Quentin Johnston still only had 3 targets, 2 receptions, 10 yards. Not great. I should add that is a career high in all 3 categories. Not great, though. Not great. So we think it. Actually, you know what? While we talk about this, I'm going to take a second here and look up what Josh Palmer did. Josh Palmer.
He did okay. He had like 7 targets. Yeah.
4 for 66 and a touchdown. So it looks like Palmer's the waiver wire ad here and not Quentin Johnston, because it's definitely Palmer, I think, instead of QJ.
Yeah, that's like what you saw from Palmer is what you're going to get. He's just going to give you like a floor play. Like he never hits the ceiling case. He's just a solid wide receiver. So like if you need the points, you take Palmer. But if you want to take a shot at the long-term potential of Quentin Johnston, like I'm fine with all guys. It's just like a roster build.
Quentin's not going to be on waivers in Dynasty. So.
No. But like redraft, Quentin will be like a top waiver wire ad too, probably.
But I think Palmer really only has value for another 3 games or so. Like I don't imagine them keeping Johnston sidelined and just keeping him as a 4th wide receiver for very long. They spent a high draft capital on him, and eventually you got to show him out, and now it's kind of the prime opportunity to do so. You still have time to work him in because you got Josh Palmer, but eventually Johnston is going to have to take over that wide receiver 3 role.
When we started the pre-draft process, I loved him. When he went to LA, he was my wide receiver 1 in this class. I was the guy on Quentin Johnston. He was my guy. I loved him. And I had someone bitching at me the other day, oh, how can you sell him? How can you be out? It's only 2 games. It has nothing to do with the 3 games of no production. It's just as training camp went on, as this one, there's little red flags that are coming up. He doesn't catch well. He doesn't run routes well. for a big guy, he's not all that physical. Like just the things that he should be doing, he doesn't do well. So I don't know. I've slowly gone from where he was my wide receiver 1 to where I traded him last week for, I don't remember, but I traded him. So,
but
Yeah,
those were all things we knew pre-draft,
yeah.
right? Like these were all issues we all knew he had. And so
I just thought the physical size was enough to overcome it, and I thought maybe some proper coaching would do it, but he doesn't look like it's coming around. And I get it; it's still early to declare him a bust, but I think out of the first round receivers, if you had to ask, I think he's the bust out of the. It's 4, right? JSN, Flower,
yeah.
4. I think he's the bust.
He's the riskiest by far because he's like a big guy, but he plays small. Like his traits translate to small. He's a yak guy. He's quick. Like he has those traits that are good, which usually are small receivers. You think he's big and he can catch. But that's not really what he is. So he's kind of a unique prospect, but like the traits he offers are just they're tantalizing because most players his size don't offer that skill set. So like that's kind of the thing.
That was his skill set in college. That was his skill set. He was the yak guy, but he's not doing that now. He's averaging 3.5, 3.5, and 3.3 yards per reception. He's not doing what he did in college. He's catching it for 2-3 yards and falling down. Or getting
they're going to open it up with him. Like, because Mike Williams is more like the deep threat as it is in that offense, like, they're going to open it up with QJ just because, like, Palmer can't do it and Keenan Allen's not that guy. So, like, that's perfectly the role he's going to fight into. So, it might work out for him. You never know. It's just, he's just super risky. Like, that's kind of what we knew going in.
The only two other notable injuries we had, and they're not all that notable. Mingo left for the concussion, did not return. He had 6 targets, 3 receptions for 21 yards. That's 3 games in a row he's had more than 5 targets. And still, his career high is 26 yards. He's another guy where it's 3, 3.5, 3.4 yards per reception. He's just not doing anything with it. So these rookies, that's another guy that I thought would be better, and he's been really disappointing. I get it's still early, but
at least he's getting the targets. Like that's a positive sign.
It's
I'm on the other side.
Johnson's getting.
I'm on the other side. He's seeing the volume. The big plays they haven't come yet, but you got to realize we're still working with Andy Dalton and a rookie quarterback.
No, I agree.
You have to be a little patient. Yes, he wasn't a great production profile coming out of college.
No, not at all.
So there is going to be some struggles, but it's a lot of the athleticism and what he can do along the line. He just needs that experience, and he's getting it quicker than I thought he would.
No, but I agree. It's more hope for him. Like I have him. And I got him in the second round and Johnston in the first in my dynasty league. I already bailed on Johnston. I'm holding on to Mingo. He has no value, but like you said, he's getting the targets. There's more hope for me right now that Jonathan Mingo can be useful than Quentin Johnston right now. I've bailed Johnston now.
Thielen's like the target hog in that offense, which is really weird because he's been trashed the last few years. But he just put up 9 targets and 14 in this game. Like, I don't know what happens, but he's resurging somehow. The old man's got it. Dude. So, yeah, like they play Minnesota and Detroit the next 2 weeks. Like, it's setting up really well for Thielen.
He's my highest rostered player in Dynasty. Everything. I was getting him literally. If it was a 40-round draft, I was getting him in round 40. 25. I got him everywhere. Oh, he sucks. Okay, but that's great. He put up 22 points last week. He's been a flex for me in a ton of leagues, so.
I got him in round 14 of the fishbowl. I was like, yeah, sure. Like, throw a dart and see what happens, right? It's like,
that's the only one I didn't get him in. The fishbowl, he went in my league in like the 8th round, and I was like, what the hell?
The 8th round? Wow.
Yeah. It was by a so-called expert, too. So
hey, maybe he knew something. He must have known something because he's balling out.
Insider information.
Right, exactly.
No, but the funny part is it was a player profiler guy, and player profiler has pretty much been anti-Adam Thielen all offseason. So I'm going,
he's not athletic at all.
They always busted my balls for drafting him in like the 20th, and this guy goes in the 8th. But the only other injury we had Rashad Bateman with the hammy. I'm not sure if he came back, but who cares? Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, he just
I care. All right.
I'm so done with him.
I'm out. I'm out now. I loved him so much pre-draft. I liked his profile and everything, but he can't put it together. Zay Flowers out producing him, and he has been all season, not just prior to the injury. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting out targeted by Aguilar again. It's just like, dude, if you can't beat out Aguilar, like, it's just not looking good for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. Like, it's just the injuries. The injuries, like, at this point, they might have taken something out of him because there's been so many consistent injuries. He's not the player, might not be anymore, so there might be something to that. But yeah, it's Flowers. Like, and Odell Beckham went out. That wide receiver room is wide open for Flowers to just smash. He got 10 targets again today. It's just like, it's Flowers' world. Everybody else, it's kind of like, sorry,
Since
man.
we were already discussing it, we might as well start with that game. So we got the Colts in overtime, 22-19 over the Ravens. Minshew put up 16. Lamar had his best game of the season with 32. Zach Moss, who I told my cousin to bench for Zay Flowers in the pregame sit start, he put up 27. That's all. The Ravens were led by Melvin Gordon's 8, 6.6 for Gus Edwards. The receivers, Pittman had another solid day with 14. Downs had 10.7, Pierce 6.8, and on the Ravens side, it was basically Flowers with 10, Aguilar with another 6.5. Andrews kind of disappointing, only had 8, and the tight ends on Indy were useless. Anything notable here from you guys?
Zach Moss, 33 of 40 opportunities with Zach Moss for the running back. The dude's a legit RB1, seeing like 85% of snaps. He's Jonathan Taylor. Like, that's what he's doing. Like, it's the craziest shit. So, like, yeah, just ride Zach Moss until like Taylor comes back because he's giving you fantastic RB1 production. And like I have him on one of my dynasty teams and I'm just loving it. He's filling in for injured Saquon, so we're just like riding that forever.
For me, Josh Downs, 12 targets today. So I think he's kind of solidified that wide receiver 2 role, and he is going to get some work there. He got more targets than Michael Pittman today. Obviously, he did not produce them, but it's definitely something to look for as we go on in the season.
Pierce saw solid targets too, 7 of them. Didn't do nearly as much, but
yeah. I mean, it might be just a Minshew thing.
44 targets today.
I have to go back and look at Downs' production or his targets. 7, 5, and 12. So I do think he's the wide receiver 2 over there. I don't know when AR is coming back, but until he does,
I think he's back next week.
Yeah, because it's a short-term injury, right?
I think that's better for him to be back, or are they better off with Minshew?
For fantasy production, I want Minshew.
Yeah, I think it's a wash for Pittman. I think it's better for Downs.
Yeah, because like he'll target the secondary receivers more. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, like you want that for those guys. Which is why I was out on Downs in the first place. I was like, oh, he's going to Indy. Like, he's not going to get targeted with Richardson. And he's proven he's good. So, like, I'll eat the L on that one. He's been. And he's taking, like, I saw his tweet, he's earning more snaps also than Alec Pierce, too. So, it's not just targets. Like, he's playing a legit role in that offense. I got to find the tweet, but he's actually doing really well.
All righty. Next up, we have Cleveland steamrolling Tennessee 27-3. Deshaun Watson finally decided to show up. He put up 29.6. Ryan Tannehill did not. He put up 4.4. He's pretty washed at this point. How long do we think it's going to be before they see Levis or Willis? And who do you think plays first? Willis was the backup again today. Looks like Levis was inactive. Thoughts on the Tannehill shit show?
Everything I've heard is that Levi, whatever the hell his name is, he's just completely not ready whatsoever. So they'll be rolling with Willis if anything were to happen.
He seems like a 3-year project.
Yeah.
And he's old too. Like that's the worst case scenario. Old guy who's a project. Like that's not good.
But on the bright side, Tajay Spears outsnapped Derrick Henry.
That's the bright side. I was going to look at it. The bright side. He did outsnap him. You're right. It was, well, I guess it was a blowout, but 3.5 for Tajay, 2 points for Henry. Jerome Ford came through for everyone in a tough matchup, 18.6. Kareem Hunt had 5.5, 4.5 for Pierre Strong. The receiving side of the ball, we had Amari Cooper with 24.5, Eli Moore with 9, DPJ with 7. On the Titan side of the ball, D-Hop had 8, and he was the only one even close to relevant. Treylon Burks had 1 catch for 6 yards. That's lovely. Yes. Chig was up for 3.5. David Njoku, another shitty game. He had 4 for 20, 6 points. With the exception of Amari Cooper, Jerome Ford, and Deshaun Watson, there's a lot of ugly stat lines here.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Moore still saw 9 targets. So, like, that's what you want to see. Like, him being involved back-to-back games. And he saw 7 in the first one, so it's 7 and 9 and 9.
He lost the fumble, too. That's what is hurting the stat. He had 3 carries to go with it for negative yards.
I will say that Ford is living off touchdowns in this game because he was really bad efficiency-wise. So, if he doesn't have those touchdowns, it's a terrible game.
10 carries for 18 yards, 1 touchdown. 2 catches for 33 and 1 touchdown. So he has 12 total touches for about 52 yards.
I mean, it's so Tennessee for like the last 2 years has been the number 1 run defense. And I think they're going to do it again this year. If you have a running back, you probably should sit him unless there's serious pass catching upside. Jerome Ford, he got the 2 touchdowns, but like I can't count on that on a week-to-week basis. So if the matchup is bad enough, which Tennessee is bad enough matchup for running backs, I'm going to sit him.
All right.
Yeah, they got Baltimore.
Go ahead. Do you have something to say, Jesse?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, they made Watson look incredible. Like, Tennessee's pass defense is atrocious. So you should start whatever quarterback is playing Tennessee because they're just gonna light up that defense. Like, they can't guard anyone. So Watson looked like the old Deshaun Watson that everyone was like, "Oh, he's back." I'm like, I think it's more of the game than anything else.
Next, we have a 20-6 win for the Lions over the Falcons. Desmond Ritter's poop. Jared Goff puts up 24.5. Desmond Ridder puts up 9. Somehow manages to ruin the day for everyone. Bijan, 9.5. Algier, 4.5. Jahmyr Gibbs, 10. How is it possible that not one single player besides Goff has a usable stat line? Oh, that's not true. 17.5 for St. Brown.
Yeah.
4.6 for Drake London. 9.7 for Pitts, which is a season year. Oh, I stand corrected. So the Lions had a good day. It just didn't translate to my guy Gibbs. It was 25.5 for Goff. 17.5 for St. Brown and 25.5 for fucking Laporta.
Okay.
Laporta's a stud, man.
Did either of you guys watch the game, the Lions Falcons?
I watched some of it.
I watched Red Zone and I don't think I seen 2 highlights of the fucking thing. I don't think it was even on.
Dan Campbell is using Jahmyr Gibbs like he's freaking David Montgomery and putting him like straight up the middle on half the plays. And it's like, for me, it feels like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a Kyle Pitts for the running back position. Unless he can get the ball in open space, which is his calling card, right? Pass catching and scheme plays in open space and let him work. That's what he does. I assume that's why they drafted him, because they wanted to do that. But it seems like with David Montgomery out, Dan Campbell has zero intention of letting my guy Jahmyr Gibbs go to work.
Well, does he seem to you like someone who's an intelligent X's and O's guys, or more of
the OC is
Neanderthal tight end?
Like the OC is like he's a good offensive coordinator. So like I think he just trusted the matchup and they thought they had an advantage on the inside. They could just pound it up the middle with Gibbs, and obviously that didn't work out. But they gave him, like, he dominated the touches, which is what you wanted to see. So like overall, he had 19 touches. The next closest was Reynolds with 4 in the backfield. So like, I'll take that as a good thing, even though he was inefficient and it was a bad game for him. Like, that's what you want to see, them trusting him and giving him that workload. So like, I think moving forward, like, he's going to be heavily involved, and they'll figure out ways to get him in space and open. So like, overall, it sucks this week, but long term, like, I like the implications from this. And just also, Laporta is the first tight end in NFL history to have 5 receptions in 3 straight games, like for a rookie of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Laporta's doing stuff that tight ends don't do. So like, basically, he's like what we want Kyle Pitts to be. And he showed that again today. 8 receptions, 84 yards, touchdown. Like, that's him and Musgrave are just being like dynamite tight ends. And it's like, so
9 points for Ridder, Bijan, and Pitts, and less than 5 for London. So 3 high-end fantasy assets in this offense, and Desmond Ridder's so bad he kept them all under 10 points. That's impressive.
Yeah.
But Pitts did beat the over on his receiving total. I was like, oh, yeah, baby. We got that. It was like 33.5. I was like, let's go. Smashed it. Oh, barely got it. Jesus.
You're bold, man. I'm not touching Pitts over on anything.
Look at Johnny Smith getting 8 targets. Like, why are you even targeting Johnny Smith 8 times?
He did. He had the same amount of points. Why does Kyle Pitts have 1 carry?
It's just the trying for negative 4 yards. It's just they got to just yeet Ridder out of here. Like, he sucks, man, and he minimizes those assets.
Ridder can go. Arthur Smith can go. Yes. And then I'll buy back into this.
Just go get freaking Kirk Cousins. Go immediately trade for Kirk Cousins. Put him in this offense, and like, you will see magic happen with Kirk Cousins. Like,
I mean, they are 2-1. It's a solid.
No, they're still. Yeah, they're just like, the offense was so bad today. Like, this is the problem with Ridder. Like, he can bring them down multiple levels. So if he has someone who's good QB, he's gonna raise them up. Like,
who am I missing over the last 2 years? The last 2 years, do we have a quarterback who's not a bust? Who was it 2 years ago? Was it Lawrence in that class? No, hey.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it?
No,
so
no, no,
the-
no.
no.
That's 3.
That was the year
Lawrence
before.
was 21.
This one
I
was
believe.
this one. Okay, this one was Stroud. Stroud. It's too early on them, but I mean Stroud.
Pickett.
Well,
Pickett.
Pickett's
and
the
Oh,
only
sorry, not
first-round
this year. I
quarterback.
meant the 2 years before that. It was Pickett, Malik Willis, Sam Howell,
Yeah.
Desmond Ritter, and there was
And then the year
someone else
before
who I'm
was
missing.
the 2021 class was like
Oh, and-
Lawrence and
Yeah,
those
and
guys.
Matt Corral, and then the year before we had what? It was Trevor Lawrence. He was the first one, and then we had Lance,
Zach
who sucks,
Wilson.
Wilson, who sucks,
Trey
Yeah.
Lance.
Fields,
Yeah.
who sucks. So basically, we got with excluding this year, the 2 years before, we have one good quarterback out of like the first 12 drafted.
Maybe
Lawrence
one.
isn't even playing well. Like he's
Maybe
not
one.
playing good.
He hasn't been good, you're right. To move on to the next debacle, we have the Saints blowing a 17-point lead against the Packers. Jordan Love putting up 29.5. Derek Carr put up 11. As we said before, he left with injury. Winston took over for him. 10 for 16 for 100 yards. Not too bad. Tony Jones was the leading running back on the Saints with 8.7. Kendre had 5.5. Patrick Taylor leads the Packers with 5.5. A.J. Dillon with 4. Chris Olave, 17.5 points. Romeo Dobbs, 17.5 points. Shaheed and Jaden Reed, both with 10. Michael Thomas and Dontavian Wicks, both with 8. The tight ends here, we had almost 12 for Musgrave, 8 for Jimmy Grandpa. What an interesting game this was. It seemed like they just decided we're going to spread the ball all over, and really we only got 2 good games, one out of Dobbs, one out of Olave. The rest of it was like 7, 8, 9, 10 points. Like these offenses suck, and they kind of really spread the ball around.
I mean, I'll take the points for Musgrave. I thought he did pretty solid. 6 catches on 8 targets. I mean, only 49 yards, but if you're getting
Did you
that
watch
kind
the
of work,
game?
I did not.
Because
I didn't even.
he had a wide open shot that cost him literally like 60 yards and a touchdown. Like if Love hits him, it's a touchdown for 60 yards.
Yeah, so
Like,
he fell
so
over
terrible.
trying to catch it, right? He overthrew.
Yeah,
him
he like it wasn't even close to him. Like
No,
he
it
missed him by like 5 yards. I was like, dude,
Hey,
Jesus.
I tweeted it out as a comparison to Justin Fields. I tagged the throw and put still more accurate than Justin Fields. So yeah, I seen that. So
yeah,
I just
like
love trolling former Ohio State players.
his stat line looks good, but he did not
He
play
didn't.
that well. Yeah, like that's kind of the thing.
That's what I'm
defense is
seeing.
good, though.
22 of 44 is honestly not good at all.
Yeah.
And then he had the pick. I know they were down pretty much the whole game until like the last couple minutes or whatever. They came back out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, he played a lot better in the like
Rushing touchdown helped him too. 39
Yeah.
rushing yards on 9 carries. So they're
that's kinda
scheming him up
surprising.
a bit more.
Might be some rushing upside there. I like it.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, it'll be nice when Christian Watson and Aaron Jones are in this offense, so they have all their pieces. So like that's gonna help out Love more. So like they're going to raise him up even more. It's just like you're getting another guy, Watson, who's just dynamite in space, and Jones can do his things. And you don't have to rely on AJ freaking Dillon anymore. So like I think it would be nice.
I keep hoping AJ Dillon will be a thing, but I think
He sucks, man.
I think
he's just bad. At this point, we're like, you know what? He's just not. And he was good as a rookie too. I don't understand what changed, but like he was good as a rookie. Those last
completely
years,
inefficient.
terrible.
He didn't even get a target, I don't think.
Yeah, like you're
Next
losing
up-
snaps to freaking a practice squad player who just got called up in Wilson. Like what?
Yeah.
Like what's going on here? Like yeah, it's not good.
Next up, we have the destroyer of survival pools everywhere. The Texans beating the Jags 37-17. I think there were 2 of them. Who else? Somebody else destroyed survivor pools. Oh, the Cardinals over the Cowboys.
Yeah,
Love it.
So a lot
Love
of
it.
survivor pools lost 50% of the
Good.
league today. I would bet that. So we get CJ Stroud had a hell of a game. Only 20 for 30, but
good.
280, 2 touchdowns. No
Mhm.
interceptions from the looks of it. That's a pretty solid day.
Mhm.
19.5 from Trevor Lawrence, 27 for 40, 1 TD, 1 pick, 279 through the air. Not nearly as impressive. We had Damian Pierce kind of have a decent day, 14 points. Andrew Beck with 9. Is that the one? That came off of a kickoff, right? It was
Yeah.
He took it to the house. It was a punt that he muffed and then took it 95 yards, right?
Yeah, it says 85 yards returning.
Yeah.
Was it 85?
touchdown.
We got ETN put up 19.5. That's a solid day. 7.5 for Bigsby. Tank Dell 29 points. 13.9 for Kurt. 9 for Agnew. 6 for Ridley. 6 for Woods. 5 for Collins. 2 for Mechie. 9 for Brevin Jordan, 14.5 for Engram, who looks like he's a must start. The more interesting one here, I think, is how long, like the cover of my week 4, I do my graphics for my articles in advance. The cover for my week 4 stack attack is CJ Stroud and Tank Dell. How long can these two keep this go? Like they're playing way over their head. This is gonna come crashing down, right?
No, it's not because
he's good.
He's legit. I don't know if you know this,
Dell or
but
Stroud, you mean?
Both.
Who's legit? They're both legit?
They're both legit.
Both legit, yeah.
As long as Dell stays healthy, like I am concerned about the size. I think he's what 5'8",
5'9", I think 5'7".
Yeah, he's tiny. He's tiny.
He's 165. You know what I mean?
5'10", 165.
I'm concerned about the size, but as long as he stays healthy, he's legit. He had the most targets on the team, most catches, most yards, all that. Robert Woods, what is he, like 32 now? 31?
Yeah, he's old.
Nico Collins only had 3 targets. Tank Dell looks to be the go-to guy in this offense as far as CJ Stroud's favorite.
I think they saw something in this matchup where they targeted Dell because Nico was at 20% target share last week. He went down to 10. Tank Dell's been at 23 and 24% the last 2 games. So, like, they're finding ways to get him in space. Like, they're using him. Like, the one touchdown down the sideline, he basically just ran a wheel route around the edge and just went housed. And nobody keep up with him so fast. So, like,
I'm fine with
that's perfect, right? Yeah, like, you get fast guys in space, good things happen. So, yeah, I like the way they're using Tank Dell, and he looks like a viable asset. Like, I was recommending pick him up.
Dell's the one I'm not in on yet. Like, I think he could be a thing, but, like, they've been scheming up Nico Collins. He's looked good. Today, it was just a matter of I watched a lot of that game because I started CJ Stroud in my most important league, and they were double covering and scheming to cover Nico Collins. I think that's why Dell was open. I think he could still be something, but I think I'm pretty much all in on Stroud. I think him and Anthony Richardson, like, when he came out, when I was doing my pre-draft process here, I said he might be the most accurate quarterback since Drew Brees. Like, he's pinpoint. He is awesome.
He is a thrower of the football, man. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you want the pieces attached to him, and it looks like Dell and Nico are going to be the guys. Like, Woods is old. I don't trust him, man. I think he's, like, slowly just declining. So
I think he's who gets phased out. It sucks, though, because I thought John Mechie would be one of the two, but it looks like it's Nico and Dell. So.
I don't even think he's like, what is he getting any snaps? Oh, I got 2. Okay. I was like, man, he's like not even playing.
I had Stroud as my QB1 pre-draft, just because I'm not a fan of, or wasn't a fan of Anthony Richardson as a thrower. Bryce Young, he can still do a lot of things, but as a pure pocket passer, I'm not gonna lie to you, CJ Stroud is easily the best looking one right now.
And you could tell that like the situations look so much better in Houston than it does in Carolina right now. Like what
I don't know
is dealing with him. Yeah, like that one. The Carolina line is like struggling. And the Houston line looks respectable, and the assets are just better. Like the people he's throwing to is just better. So like, it's a much better situation for him moving forward. So I don't understand why anyone would have Young over Stroud at this point. Like,
we continue to see Kirk and Ridley flip-flop usable weeks. This week it was Kirk, so I assume that means Ridley's going to be the guy next week. So we can move on to the basketball game of the week, where the Miami Heat put up 70. I mean, the Miami Dolphins put up 70 over the Denver Broncos, who put up 20. It turns out Sean Payton may have been the product of how good Drew Brees was. And I do believe I said that 100 times during the offseason. Don't get me wrong. I love Sean Payton, my favorite coach of all time. Hardcore Saints fan. I love the man. Almost wanted to be a Broncos fan just because I love him. Turns out I may have been right, and it was mostly Drew Brees. Like, I still think he's good, but this team sucks. So it's 42 from Tua, which you're wondering, how did he only put up 42? It's because Mike White chipped in 13 of his own because they said, fucking put him in. Russell Wilson had 20, so I guess he was usable, but Javonte put up 9 points. Here we go. Devon Achane, 55.8, 18 carries, 203 yards, 2 TDs. What is that? Oh, he had 4 receptions for 30 yards and an additional 2 receiving touchdowns. Sorry, Sleeper has, it's like, I've got it mixed in where they have it with the plus 1 TD, 40 plus yards, 1 TD fit, so it's hard to read, but Mostert put up 42.5, 13 carries for 82 yards, so not nearly as impressive. I would look to really sell high on him. I know it sounds stupid, but 3 TDs and 1 rushing or receiving touchdown. He did have 140 yards, but he was not nearly as impressive. 140 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he was not nearly as impressive. What the fuck am I saying?
I think one thing to really take away from this is Achane is finally on the field, and he outtouched Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, 1 sec. I got the receivers still. Let's not get into it. We got Tyreek who put up 30. Could you imagine if Waddle was in the game, how much they'd have?
Oh, man.
Tyreek was 32 points for Tyreek, 21 for Marvin Mims, 17. There was a lot of usable stat lines, even on the Broncos. Sutton puts up 17, 14 for Judy, 16 for Robbie Anderson. I'm not fucking calling you chosen. The tight ends were all useless. So we have 2 quarterbacks who are startable or better. The 2 Dolphins running backs, nobody on the Broncos. And we have basically 5 receivers who were 15 points or better. So this was a bonanza. This was fucking bad shit crazy.
This is points. Like, the interesting thing is with Mims, his route still got doubled by Brandon Johnson. So I'm asking, what the fuck are you doing, Sean Payton? Like, why are you not getting this guy on the field? Every time he's been on the field, he's been one of the better players for the Broncos. It's just like, he saw 11 routes today. Like, what are you doing? Just why? Get the best guys on the field. It's just super frustrating watching it happen. But yeah, like they're just outclassed. And they traded their first last year for Sean Payton, hoping it would fix it, and it's clearly not fixing it.
That's going.
There's just it's just awful. And like Miami's just like, okay, we'll score 1 million points if you let us. Like, sure.
I don't care about the Broncos. The more pressing question for me is, Wilson's due back 2 weeks, a week? What are we doing here? What?
Waddle?
Oh, no, sorry.
Jeff Wilson, the running back.
Oh.
When Wilson comes back, what do we do here? Like, are we okay, in Dynasty, you got to hold A-Chain, obviously. But in redraft, are we selling high on A-Chain and Mostert? Or?
Depends what you can get.
We have a Devontae Adams touchdown.
Oh, man, I was going to put it
Love it. He's so good. But yeah, no, like if in redraft, I'll try to sell on all of these guys. Like, I'll try to upgrade the assets into higher assets, like somebody who struggled, had a bad game, like try and flip that. I mean, it's hard to do because redraft, you don't trade, but A-Chain's the guy I want in this backfield. Like, he's the young guy they bet on and brought in, compared to 2 older, injury-prone, like, veterans who, case in point, Wilson's already out. All you need is a Mostert injury, and this is what happened. So, like, I want A-Chain. Like, he's the guy I want.
Like, if I have Mostert, I don't think I would sell, honestly. I know he's going to get hurt at some point. I know he is, but this is the best offense in the league. And, I mean, not just because of this game, but they have been all year. And they're going to put up points. And any week, Mostert – anybody in this offense, Mostert, Achane, Hill, Waddle, Smythe, any of them can put up 2 touchdowns any week.
I think the interesting thing about Tua is he needs to be valued higher in Dynasty, because if he has those assets, like, he's going to produce. So, like, he needs to be in that like the second tier of like Dynasty quarterbacks, like T-Law and those guys, just because like you see what he's doing week in and week out. Like, it's points bonanza. Like, I want this quarterback. So I'm assuming his price is going to slowly change throughout the season where he's going to get into that range.
I think I might try to trade Justin Fields in a first for Tua.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what it's going to take at this point.
Yeah. I mean, he's balling out. So yeah, people are going to want you to pay.
Next, we have the Chargers beating the Vikings 28-24. Another game with a ton of stat lines. Who would have thought the Chargers and Vikings weren't shut down defenses? We had Justin Herbert, 39, 38 for Kirk Cousins. Both of them had 3 touchdown passes. This is another game where we have only 1 usable running back. Alexander Mattison finally wakes up and puts up 18 points. The receivers all went off. We have 44 for Keenan Allen, 25 for Mike Williams. I think his season's over, though. Palmer stepped up after that with 13 points. 29.5 for Jefferson, 10 for Osborne, 10 for Addison. And the tight ends both put up 14 and 15 respectively for Parham and Hawkinson. Gerald Everett put up 10, but I think in my waiver column at tight end, Donald Parham may be the waiver ad. I know it's off of 2 touchdowns, but he's been the end zone target for them, and they just haven't connected. If I got to stream a touchdown-dependent tight end, I think I'm going to do one who's actually a red zone target. So what do you guys think of this? Like I said, another fucking shootout here. Who would have thought these 2 teams weren't going to have a 6-3 defensive struggle?
Right, just two overmatched defenses, getting just absolutely nuked all game. So the crazy thing is, like, the Vikings know they have a terrible defense because I found this stat very interesting. They blitzed 40 of his 50 dropbacks, and he absolutely massacred them for freaking like all of his points. Like it did, like it's insanity. They kept blitzing because they know they didn't have another option, and he just destroyed them. Herbert did. So like, if you're playing against your team's playing against the Vikings, like start all your wide receivers, the quarterback, like all those guys. Because they can't cover everybody. And the Chargers, same thing. Like the Chargers defense struggled. So like these are two offenses you want and two defenses you want to attack like each week. Like fantasy, just because with points, man. So many points.
Josh Kelly sucks. So you can just sit him for the remainder of the year. I don't care who he's playing against. I'm not touching Josh Kelly. He's dead to me. I'm still intrigued to see how Quentin Johnston works out in that wide receiver 3 role. But yeah, Donald Parham looks, like you said, Aaron, he looks like tight end target. A lot of people like Gerald Everett. I did too, but Parham's really pushing for snaps, especially in the red zone.
It's funny though you say that with Josh Kelly. Why do we do this every time we have a lead running back go down? It's always
because you never know, man. We need running backs.
You know who they're playing next week?
Who?
The Raiders. So people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, Josh Kelly once again. Here we go." Like it's gonna be the same thing.
Start question next week is what you're telling me. It's gonna be
Josh Kelly just because the Raiders can't stop anybody. So
I think summed it up best though. Josh Kelly sucks. Yeah. Josh Kelly legit sucks.
So early on, Madison, I thought he was literally trying to give away the job when he fumbled that ball and it got blasted. I was like, he looked atrocious. I'm glad he figured it out. But I am feeling like Akers is coming for that job because he is leaving it wide open for him. So I do worry about Madison.
I'm glad Madison had a good game. I don't have a whole lot of shares of Madison, but I'm hoping when I play against him that their managers still start Madison because Cam Akers is going to get like a heavy dose of that workload.
Oh, that's awesome.
But look at this. Cousins threw 50 times. So you want all these wide receivers like Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, all these guys are just elite assets moving forward. Like it's just these are the two offenses, man. I want all of these
guys. Cousins could finish as like a QB8 this year. Probably
if higher.
Probably like QB5.
I mean, if he's throwing 50 times, like that's top 5. So like the thing with Tua, it's kind of similar with him. If he's throwing that much, like he's going to be in that range.
Yeah,
like their defense is so bad. Yards.
I don't know. I don't know if he can be the QB1 all year long without any rushing upside.
No, it's very different. He needs like a Brady season, right, where he has like 50 plus touchdowns. So you need the touchdowns.
Which I mean, it's possible at this rate.
I mean, he's going to throw enough, so yeah, he's going to be a QB1 for sure. Like the thing about Cousins, he's always undervalued. He's always QB1. Just this is like the first year he might be a high-end QB1.
Yeah.
Why do people? Sorry, I was looking through. I had something I was going to say, but I lost my train of thought. Oh, that's what it was. I'm looking at my spreadsheet here for stats, and I also have my numbers for like start percentages in that because it's all in one sheet. And I'm looking through, and it came up. Why do people play fantasy football and then just not pay attention? Do you want to know the second highest started Dolphins receiver this week?
Don't tell me it was Waddle.
Jalen Waddle at 21%.
Jeez.
Started in 21% of Yahoo leagues. He didn't even fucking play. What are we doing? It's not like it was 3% and it was people who couldn't get to their computer. It was 21%. He was started in 1 out of every 5 fucking leagues. Is this just people who started 0-2 and quit watching?
I mean, sometimes people admit. Like we were so I missed the Aaron Jones last week when we were on the show because like I thought I changed it, but I didn't. So like I get it, but yeah, they need to be on top of that.
Oh, someone just scored, but I didn't see it. The Steelers scored. Anyways, we got to speed this up because I'm talking too much. Next up, we had an actual game where defense was played. The Patriots beat the Jets 15-10. Mac Jones come back down to earth a bit, 21 points. Zach Wilson had a really good game for him. That's 7.5 points. Zeke had 11. Ramondre had 7. That's fucking ugly. Nick Bawden was the leading running back for the Jets at 6 points, 5 for Dalvin, 3 for Brees, 1 for Michael Carter, who got into a fight on the sideline. What a shit show that is. Garrett Wilson, who I'm pretty sure in the pregame show we told everyone to sit, put up 7 points. So did Kendrick Bourne. Everybody else was 6 points or under out of the wide receivers. Pharaoh Brown put up 18.5 as the Patriots tight end. Killian Hunter-Henry, who everyone started this week, he was 4 points. Tyler Conklin put up 6. This game was ugly. I would say, who had a good day? Mac Jones was serviceable. And if you started Pharaoh Brown, I can tell you what, before even looking at my started fantasy points sheet and research for today, that 18.6 points for Pharaoh Brown, it's going to go with a 0% start rate. I can fucking guarantee you those will.
Absolutely.
So the only usable stat line we got out of this game was completely wasted, aside from the Pats putting up 15 points on defense.
Zach Wilson is garbage. They need to trade for a quarterback ASAP, because if you trade for a quarterback or start tanking, like, what are we doing? Are we really trying to make the playoffs with Zach Wilson? Because it's mismanagement at this point.
So the thing about their wide receiver core is, outside of Garrett Wilson, it's not good. Like, that's the problem. Like, I think people kind of misunderstand that. Like, when they got rid of Elijah Moore and then Corey Davis retired, like, you lose 2 guys, and now you're counting on old ass Randall Cobb and freaking Alan Lazard and Hartman. So yeah, it's kind of just, it's a problem. Like, these are the 2 offenses I don't want, as opposed to the last game. Like, I don't really want anybody from New England, and I don't want anybody from the Jets. So, like, I love Garrett Wilson, but, like, I'm just going to bench him until something changes.
And with that in mind, we'll move on to the next game. A game we'll also skim over quickly because it sucked. The Bills beat the shit out of the Commanders 37-3. Josh Allen put up 27 points. Sam Howell, who I said I regretted trading this week, 20 minutes later made me not regret it so much. He put up 3 points. He had 19 completions, 4 interceptions. That's impressive. Brian Robinson for 8.5. James Cook, 14.5. Latavius Murray still ruining anyone's hopes of James Cook being a bell cow. He put up 10. Gibson, 5. He's useless. Stephon Diggs had 17.5. Gabe Davis, 10. Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel, both with 7 and 8. Jahan Dotson is just completely screwed. He put up 3. And at tight end, we had Cole Turner put up 8. Nobody else put up more than 3. We'll go quickly through this. I mean, aside from Latavius Murray ruining any chance of James Cook being an RB1, what else did we notice? Nothing. Like, Stephon Diggs is good.
Is Jahan Dotson droppable?
I think depends. I'd have to look at their schedule. I don't know who they have coming up.
They have Philly and then Chicago and Atlanta. So, like, you don't want to play him against Philly. But
no.
I mean, you can try and trade him. Like, people still like him. So
if you need someone and there's a couple of options coming up, yeah, he's probably droppable, I think.
Yeah, I'm not really
his best game this year was against the Cardinals. 7 targets, 5 catches for 40 yards, and he's not getting any touchdown looks whatsoever. Sam Howell, 4 INTs. That's Nathan Peterman numbers. Kind of concerned, but
that's just mean.
Those are facts.
All right, we have the Seahawks 37-27 over the Panthers. Oh, sorry, I thought Calvin Austin fumbled. We had Geno put up 21. Andy Dalton with 34 fantasy points. How about that? 34 for 58. 361 yards with 2 TDs. Didn't we say this during one of the shows this week that Andy Dalton might be a good start because he might go Ryan Fitzpatrick and just throw up fucking YOLO balls all game? And that's what he does. He's not going to worry about fucking losing his job because he doesn't have a job. It doesn't matter.
And he knows how to – he's a professional quarterback. Like, he knows what he needs to do to, like, set success. That's what I was saying this morning. I was like, their offense is going to be better with him than Bryce Young, and they were a lot better. And, of course, this is Seattle. Like, their defense kind of sucks. So, like, that's
361 for 2 touchdowns. We had Miles Sanders with 16. Ken Walker, who is making me look very good. He continues to be the bell cow here. He put up 32 points, and Zach Charbonnet's left for dead with 7. Wide receiver. Oh, the Adam Thielen that we were just talking about earlier, how I was saying I scooped him up everywhere and people ridiculed me. He put up 30 points. So, yes, he may be old and washed, but he is great this week. Okay, so did he score a touchdown? Because he did.
Yep.
That was my question. Is that the oldest quarterback to wide receiver combination touchdown in the history of the NFL? Or
Dalton's 35.
Yeah.
Thielen's 33. That's 68. They're pushing it. Like,
that's not that bad.
Well, Brady
I mean, I know, like,
40-something.
Otto Graham was like 45 when he was a quarterback back in the day.
Brady was what, 42, 43? How old would have been Gronk or Mike Evans?
They might be older.
Or Edelman, even. I don't know. Anyways,
one of those old tight ends maybe kind of touchdown. Yeah.
So
Brady to Evans is at least 74.
Yeah. So we had 30 from Thielen, 19 from Chark, 7.5 from Marshall. Mingo 3, but he got knocked out, literally. Metcalf had 17. Lockett 7. Jake Boba, he had 7. JSN 1 for 10 with
Yeah,
1.5
we need to talk about
points.
JSN, man.
That's disheartening as a JSN owner. Noah Fant put up 9. Colby Parkinson 8. Hayden Hurst finally laid a dud with 2.6. So I would say, aside from how relevant Thielen has been and how much better Ken Walker has been than Zach Charbonnet, is there anything else you guys can take away from this other than that Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston are probably the 2 best streamers of the week if you need a quarterback? Because they're just going to throw it deep over. Your quarterbacks might throw for 8 touchdowns. If you start the 2 of them as your Superflex quarterbacks, they might have 10 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
Yeah, like I was saying, Miles Sanders would probably be usable this week, and he was, just because the Seahawks. He had 9 freaking targets. Like that's them focusing on how bad Seahawks defense is and attacking it. So like, the Seahawks defense is not good, and it showed up.
Dalton as your quarterback, you had to see checkdowns coming.
Exactly, right? That's exactly it. And then Thielen. So yeah, the funny thing about Thielen is he gets Detroit and Minnesota the next 2 weeks. So
what is he doing?
Points.
Are you watching this?
No.
Who's this defensive back? This is in his hands and is a pick 6, and he drops it. Good God, the Raiders suck. Who's 24 on the Raiders? Peters? Who's that? Peters?
Let's see. The play said it was.
It's in his hands.
Cam Hayward.
He's gone. It's Peters. Off of both hands, and he drops it. Are you watching? Can you see?
I've got Kenny Pickett on an interception. At least one this game.
Fucking Peters. Good God. That was the 6. But sorry to get back to it. So, like I said, I was encouraged by Dalton, by Ken Walker, and by Adam Thielen. But you liked Miles Sanders there?
Yeah, and he gets Minnesota next week, so like you can fire Miles Sanders again and be just fine. So like,
oh my god,
some bad defense is rolling through, man.
Andy
Dalton against Minnesota. He's going to be a QB1.
Oh my god, Dalton's going to throw for 500 yards.
I love it.
And
he's going to throw
Kirk
70
Cousins
times.
is going to have 50 points. Kirk Cousins.
Oh my god, Andy Dalton's my start of the week.
So
him and Kirk Cousins, baby.
Is this Zach Charbonnet's full? Is this his full role in the offense?
Yeah, pretty much.
9 carries and 2 targets.
Yeah,
Is that what they spent? Is that what they spent an early 2nd round pick on?
Most of it was garbage time.
Like it was like a mid to late second. Like it was earlier than people thought he was going to go. So like it's just
56 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, like in that range.
At the end of the 2nd round towards it.
But yeah, it's too early. Like it was too early. I'm a Seahawks fan. Like I'll happily admit it was too early. I was like,
I don't think the pick was too early. The pick for them was too early.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Seahawks.
Who needed a running back?
Like a bunch of teams in that range. Like we were talking about, like Cincinnati
Miami.
Possibly going to take him the second.
He goes to Miami at that pick. I don't mind it. He goes to Seattle. It makes no sense.
Yeah, because you already have Walker. They like reach for a guy because they had a need. They had their running backs behind Walker are atrocious. Like they're not good. So they needed a running back.
But I mean, you could have spent a 4th. You know what I mean? And got somebody to play that role.
Oh,
it was pretty. Like you could have caught Kendra. I mean, he would have been out for a little bit, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just, Seahawks kind of do weird things with draft capital. This is one of those situations where like we like this guy, we're just going to take him, and like I've seen it like my whole life.
We have the other survivor pool breaker here. The Cardinals winning 28-16 over the Cowboys because, of course, I trade for Dak Prescott, and now he sucks. He put up 20 points, 1 TD, 1 interception. Josh Dobbs puts up 24.5. Only 189 passing yards, but I assume rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. We have Pollard for 17.5, Rico Dowdle with 12.5, 20.5 for James Conner. Nobody else did anything out of the running backs. Gallup for 14, CD for 9, 17 out of Rondell Moore because, of course, I had that issue with him this morning in Frankenstein. Hollywood Brown puts up 16. Michael Wilson, who I've been stashing everywhere, for 12. And the only useful tight end was Jake Ferguson for 10. Ertz had 2. So this was kind of a mishmash of a lot of people in the 12 to 15 range all over. It seems both offenses spread the ball around. Except for the 2 running backs, both were probably top 12 on the week with 17 and 21 for Connor. Thoughts on this one?
Dobbs is a respectable quarterback with this offense. So we thought Arizona's going to be trash, and they've been solid these 3 games. So I think we need to reassess how we treat Arizona. because they've given every team they played a fit, and they just beat the Cowboys. So like they're a respectable team moving forward. So like we kind of need to move them up, I would assume, just because we can't be like, oh yeah, start the team going against the Cardinals because it's not working out for teams so much.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like a lot of their assets, James Conner's doing better than I thought he would. I knew he would get a lot of work and he would be decent, but he's still playing better than I thought he was going to play. Hollywood Brown, he's not quite seeing the volume I expected him to see, but him and Rondale are both usable assets to me. I think if you can sell Michael Gallup, go for it. I don't know who you're going to be able to trust on a week-to-week basis as the number 2 target over there in Dallas. It seems to change every week.
Mm-hmm.
And
in order for you to sell Michael Gallup high, you got to first add him off a waiver wire and then do it.
Right.
Good luck with that, though.
Right.
I mean, Ferguson saw 7 targets, so like that's you like to see that from tight end in that offense.
Yeah, it just didn't pan out.
In redraft, I'm probably dropping Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, not Jake Ferguson, not yet. But I wouldn't use anybody but Pollard, Lamb, Prescott, and then the occasional Jake Ferguson start.
All right, the last one, we have another shit kicking as the Chiefs went on cruise control, 41-10 over the Bears. God, Justin Fields is terrible. 15.5 points for 99 passing yards. That's impressive. Mahomes, 35.5 points, 272 yards and 3 touchdowns at pretty much halftime. They took him out. We had McKinnon for 17, Pacheco for 17, Hilaire for 14. Who would have thought all 3 Chiefs running backs over 14? The Bears side, we had Roschon for 6, Khalil Herbert for 3. That's a disaster. DJ Moore put up 12 before carrying his quarterback to the sideline. Did they? Oh, no, you said Fields must have been in the next series because Peterman never threw a pass. Rashee Rice, another guy I like to stash, he put up 10. He may emerge as the number 1 in this offense, but I don't know if I really want. He's more of a dynasty stash for me. They're all over with this offense. Sky put up 8. Justin Watson 7. MVS had 4.7. If I remember correctly, is he the one? He had like a 70-yard touchdown called back, didn't he? I seen him break loose from one. Yeah, I think they called it back on a illegal formation with that idiot they took out. Remember the guy who was lining up offside? Oh, no, sorry, that was the defensive player. I'm getting 2 players crossed over. The defensive player on the Chiefs was lining up. This one, you're right. This was an illegal formation that negated what I believe was like a 60 or 70-yard MVS score. Kadarius Toney doing what Kadarius Toney does. 1 reception for -1 yards. Travis Kelce, 21. Cole Kmet, 5. And that about covers that. So what the hell are we thinking with this backfield in KC? We have one backfield where it's a 3-headed monster and they all sucked, and one where it was a 3-headed monster and they were all awesome. I did not see that coming this week.
Yeah.
It's like the Chiefs. Like, you're going to get games like this from the running backs where they can all be usable or one of them has a good game. But it's really Mahomes, Kelce, and just the rest of the guys that dart throws.
Yeah, I didn't watch much of the late games. I assume a lot of that production was second half when they took Mahomes out and said, let's just run the shit out of this.
McKinnon got like 2 early touchdowns, like on like I think in the first half actually.
Yeah, one was
outside of that, the production.
I mean, they were Pacheco, up like 34 in the first half.
Yeah, they smashed early, and then they're like, all right, let's just give it to Pacheco and or Edwards-Helaire and stuff.
Yeah, I think.
But I don't want to start a single Bears player. Like, I really don't. And even like Fields, I'm really questioning starting him. Like, I just don't want a Bears player on like fantasy.
I think at this point you have to bench all of them until at least Justin Fields starts to show that rushing upside. I mean, yeah, he did have 11 carries for 40 yards.
He looks lost.
He looks.
Yeah, it's bad.
He's out there. Awful. He doesn't. Oh, Tim Froze had a wonderful opportunity. That was Tim's O face. We just need Tim's O face. Awesome. Tim got that was great. I'm going to screenshot that and post it later. But he's running around out there. He did it 2 or 3 weeks in a row now where he's got receivers running wide open, and then he's running into the back of his line, and then he's panicking instead of running with it. How many times, I don't know, I looked where he could just run for 8 to 12 yards, and instead he's fucking heaving up YOLO balls like he's Andy Dalton. Oh, he learned it from Andy Dalton last year. That's what
That's
he
the problem, see?
Mystery solved.
He's
looks
not
broken out there, man. Yeah.
He's not processing defenses. He's not creating plays, getting into open space himself, and he's not really extending him well enough. So I'm putting him all on my bench. Every
This is
single
like
Bears.
this is what you see with these like rookies where they struggle enough and like years go by. Like this happened to Sam Darnold. This happened with Zach Wilson. These quarterbacks who like they just start. It gets worse and it like snowballs where they like become a much worse player. And we're seeing that from Fields. Like he looks broken. He can't read defense like you're talking about. It's just a disaster. So they need to reassess and like start over with this offense because
Caleb Williams
they get
coming
they
soon.
get yeah. I mean they get Denver next week, so it'll be a lot better. But yikes, man! It just Kansas City's defense is also really good too. So that's probably the problem.
Well, that is our last game on the recap. I'm probably got to wrap it up here. I'm sure Jesse has to take a shit by now.
You betcha.
Yeah, so
It's my
we'll
turn.
wrap her up. Our next one is this one. So we're recording, like I said, Sunday night. This one's dropping Monday morning. Tuesday morning, we will be back at it with a live. I think we're going not Tuesday morning. We're going Tuesday at noon. We're going to be doing the live waiver show. So catch us for that. For Aaron, Jesse, and Tim, this has been Rat Pack Fantasy Football NFL Week 3 game recap. Hope everyone did better in Week 3 than I did. I don't know about you guys. So,
I did shit.
all right, everyone, take care and have a good night. Enjoy the remainder of what passes as a football game in Steelers and Raiders. Take care, everyone. We'll see you with a recap Tuesday of waivers and the Monday night games. Take care, guys.